They watch our backs and make sure we don't make idiots of ourselves in camp. They nurture us, they discover us, they ask us, we really don't want to put this in writing to you. And those are the editors, the publishers, and the agents behind us. Many of the past winners that are in this room right now. Jonathan Galassi, are you here? Show yourself. That the award is named after Max Perkins, as his first major achievements as an editor happened when he was at Scribner. His first major discovery was someone named F. Scott Fitzgerald, and then it was Hemingway, Thomas Wood, and so on. The Scribner editor we are honoring tonight has an equally impressive list of writers under her list, and she's pretty spectacular in a lot of other ways. But somebody more articulate than I is going to sit here and describe about her. Somebody who doesn't even need to be edited by her, but than her. Don DeLillo.
I saw Hemingway once on 48th Street. I think he had just come out of an optometrist shop. And it was Ernest Hemingway, and I watched him walk to the corner and turn right onto Fifth Avenue. The Scribner bookstore would be just steps away with the company offices directly above. Hemingway and Scribner, Charles Scribner's sons, as it is formerly known for many years, and Hemingway himself, imperceptible space and time. I knew his books well, and just a couple of years earlier, a friend of mine used to walk across the Fordham campus speaking in Hemingway dialogue. Our words in his format was part narrative, but mostly tribute. And Scribner, I've been to the bookstore many times, a space of generous proportions, where I get a fair amount of browsing and some highly selective art and volume. There was one more thing I learned, the name Maxwell Perkins. Celebrated editor of Hemingway, Fitzgerald, Thomas Wolfe. Wolfe once wrote to Perkins, young men sometimes believe in the existence of heroic figures, stronger and wiser than themselves, to whom they can turn for an answer to all their vexation and grief. You are for me such a figure. You are one of the rocks to which my life is anchored. When Hemingway turned that corner to Fifth Avenue, was he thinking about Max Perkins, who had died some years earlier? And then I tried to picture the Scribner offices with old wooden desks, tall filing cabinets, pipe smoke in the air, and a number of well-educated older men in suits and ties, stooped over handwritten manuscripts. Years later, one block to the west on 6th Avenue, there is Nan Graham's office, an action-packed movie in 3D. Yes, manuscripts stacked on the floor, not to be read here, of course, but taken home. Books naturally everywhere, on shelves, on the floor, on tables, chairs, the sofa, every flat surface. This is an editor's life and time. A career in paper and print, bound objects, handheld, independent of the memory of the most advanced digital device. History, biography, sociology, psychology, medicine, memoir, fiction, art books, photography books, magazines here and there, and posters on the wall, and jacket covers on the desk, and photos of family photos of writers alive and sadly deceased, and one singular object encased in a book-like frame. Hillary Rodham Christmas card. Out the window, the dynamic spectacle of New York itself, skyscrapers, ice skaters, the steeple of St. Patrick's, the sense of energy and vitality. A cell phone is ringing somewhere in the office. She crowds the room, searching out the source. Emails vividly accumulating in the brainstem of the computer, biologically begetting more email. 15, 23, 31 emails directed towards settlement of one minor matter. Email announcements to the end of the world. What kind of editor does a writer want? I've always thought of myself as a writer of sentences. This is where everything begins: language, rhythms, words on a page, what they sound like, even what they look like. Nan understands this. She works the sentence. She edits at the outset on a level of words and sentences. She sees things that I've missed. She finds clumsy writing that I can't quite believe is there until I look more closely and see more clearly. Once, we sat near the deserted restaurant, going through manuscript, page by page. Food arrived. Sentences disappear. She gets inside the text, and then inside the characters and the narrative itself. She clarifies matters for the writer. She attaches herself to the book. For someone with such a spirited disposition, take a taxi to the office, a bus, a subway. Most ones, and it's on a bike. It's a long way home to office, up through Soho and Village, and along the edge of Chelsea, to the Midtown crossfire of every hostile force. She has been doing this for many years, chaining a bike to a lamppost or other stationary object. How many of her bikes have been stolen? The number is 37 and counting. Although she says she's not counting. Once she painted the bike pink, thinking it would be too egregious a thing, too vivid, too glaringly offensive for anyone to want to steal. Gone in a flash. Crash bikes, 2 or 3. Bike tickets for running red lights and going the wrong way on a one-way street, $600 total. This raises a question suited to this particular occasion. Did Maxwell Perkins run a bike tour? Nan loves language. She quotes poetry, first line to last. She plays tennis against young, hard-serving, best-selling writers. She has made a long pilgrimage from northwest Spain to Santiago de Compostela. She swims across the Delaware River before breakfast some days. She uses Stephen King seats at Red Sox games. She picks up the check at lunch. And she's enormously good-humored and good-natured. This matters to her writer. She believes in the book she publishes with genuine fervor. I like to imagine her presenting a book to the sales force, or marketing people, whoever and wherever they are, in secret rooms on 6th Avenue, or at a sales conference in Tahiti. I've witnessed her persuasiveness firsthand. In the past, cover photos or paintings, and we've talked about typefaces and preferred on jacket copy. Then recently, she called me and said that this would be a good time to publish a collection of my stories. My stories? Which stories? Had I ever thought myself of doing such a book? In some vague way, maybe, at some distant time, in theory, as a possibility, after I was dead. Nan said, now. One of us laughed nervously, I think it was me. She named the publication date, discussed the stories that could be included, determined the order of the stories, worked out a three-part structure with an illustration for each part, and honored me and humored me as I wondered aloud about a possible title. She already knew the title. I believe the angel is around 9 stories. One day the book came floating my way. Wonderful cover photograph, handsome jacket design, embossed letters, silhouetted angel, beautiful sky in the background. Typo on page 205. It happens. Everything happens. Finally, I asked myself, how did it happen that a young man on the verge of publishing his first short story works up since he's earned his Hemingway, walking along the street in Midtown Manhattan, on his way to the publishing house, where the distinguished editor, Maxwell Perkins, worked for so many years with so many important writers. And how did it happen? But the same man would one day be a novelist published by Scribner, who finds himself presenting the Maxwell E. Perkins Award to a Scribner editor, the skillful, steadfast, and irreplaceable Nan Graham.